Welcome to In Edina, a program about the people, places, and activities all from the city of Edina. I'm your host, Lillian McDonald, and this broadcast from 50th and France, the site of this year's Edina Art Fair. Joining us to talk about just that event are, from the 50th and France Association, Rachel Hubbard, the Executive Director, Kevin Shaw, President. Thanks so much for a wonderful event.
Thank you.
I don't know what you did to keep the weather in check, but so far so good.
Thanks for having us.
It's our pleasure. This is a huge event. Over 400 artists supported by 200 businesses, 70,000 or more walking through just to try it on for size or make a purchase or participate. How does the association pull this off?
A lot of work. It takes about a year to plan, and the artists are juried into the Edina Art Fair every year. So we have national, international, and local artists that come and participate in the Edina Art Fair. We also have lots of great musicians, and we have food vendors, and then kids' activities.
Wow. So this is supported by the 50th and France Association.
Yes.
All right. A very small organization. How do you do that?
It's just me. No, I shouldn't say that. We have lots of volunteers too, and the businesses are very supportive. We have 200 supportive.
Rachel's very modest. We have a lot of businesses that are involved through committee work and what have you. We literally do everything to prepare for this art fair. It takes over a year to do. Rachel is in her first year, and she's doing an absolutely wonderful job.
So you have committees that get involved in organizing this, and the business, of course, is supported. And this is what, the 42nd?
42nd
Correct.
year.
This year, 42nd year, so you at least got a routine down. But there's a lot new this year and new to look forward to in years to come.
That's right.
New artists this year.
We have a lot of new artists, which has been fabulous to have so many new artists. We have one artist, Jenna Moger, who is her very first art fair ever. So
In her career.
In her career. So yeah, she came here because it's one of the top 2 art fairs in Minnesota.
Wow.
Yeah.
And our featured artist name is Darren Olson, and he actually is a Minnesota born and raised person. He does great museum quality photography, and we're really happy to have him in the show.
And then internationally, you've got some folks here as well.
We do have some people from Canada and some other countries, I believe, as well, and we're very excited to have them.
And you've got something special from your store, and she's working with you as well at this art fair.
We do. We have a lifestyle stage, which hopefully everybody had a chance to see. And we have things from cooking demonstrations to fashion shows, and we had an internationally acclaimed fused glass artist by the name of Peggy Carr that came and appeared and also did a signing here. And that's something that she doesn't do anymore, so we're very thrilled to have her here.
You get some artists like this that come in. They're not just here to sell what they've made over the year. It's not just about that. It's also about an opportunity to teach people, to show people something about art. You don't have to know anything about art. You can just appreciate it, and in all the many different kinds. You talk about that experience. It's really rich.
Yeah. We've had artists that have been here for 42 years, and they have a following, and they want that same booth space because they know the customer knows exactly where they are, and they look forward to that every year. And I get calls from people asking, is this artist going to be here again? And they're so excited to purchase that next piece and put it on their wall.
And the businesses, too, really embrace this. Talk a little bit about that, Kevin.
Businesses are very excited about this. It draws 70,000 people here to 50th and France, which really highlights the area. You know, between our retailers, our restaurateurs, and our service merchants, they're very excited to have the event here. But we also do other events as well as an association. We have Ladies' Night that we plan. We do Holiday Stroll. We have the Pumpkin Fest in October. Many other things that we're involved in. So this takes about a year to plan, but we have a host of other events too that draws people down to 50th and France.
Wow, in and around everything else you're planning, other events as an association. You are really busy, aren't you?
Very busy,
She's a
yes.
busy
They
lady.
keep me busy down here.
And it takes volunteers to pull this off too. How do people get involved, residents and others that might just want to lend a hand?
Yeah, very easy. On our website, especially if they want to be involved during the Edina Art Fair, there is a sign-up form for people to be involved. And, you know, my number's on the website as well. If they want to become involved, they can just give me a call.
Do they have to have experience at this, or can they just, you know?
There's many jobs for people to do. So set up or, you know, helping.
They don't have to have
They don't
experience,
have
and quite
to.
frankly, you know, once they've come, they usually come back. It's a fun experience to get to know the artists and get to know some of their mediums. It's just fun. It's fun to be here.
Well, we really thank you very much for your time and your energy and your effort. And we know that if we want to be a participant or a volunteer in the Edina Art Fair next year, we should apply pretty much right away.
Right.
Exactly.
All right, great. Thank you very much for a wonderful event. Thanks for letting us set up here and bring this broadcast to our audiences. We look forward to seeing you again next year.
Thank
Thanks
you.
again.
Well, we mentioned that volunteers make the Edina Art Fair a reality, but it takes one very special volunteer to keep all the balls in the air, and she's the chair of the Edina Art Fair, and that's Laurel Hazley. Thank you very much for joining us on
thank
Edina.
you.
Congratulations on a wonderful event.
Thank you.
This is your second year as chair?
Yes, it is.
And you're coming back next year?
Not as chair, but I'll be back in some capacity.
You do this volunteer work, hundreds of hours over a year,
Yes.
and you do it because you have passion.
Yes.
That's because it's not pay.
No, it's not. It's strictly volunteer.
It's a lot of work. Talk a little bit about just some of the things that you do to get this thing going. And it starts right away. As soon as next month, you're going to be planning for 2009.
That's correct. We start in July, and we do a debriefing and go over things that need to be fixed. And then in August, the whole process starts all over again of starting to get the artists, let them know that the applications are going to be coming out and to be ready for the art fair. And we start lining up music, we start lining up food vendors, we start doing everything in August.
Well, and for an event that has tens of thousands of folks walking through, hundreds of artists participating, food and entertainment on top of that, you need a year to get it going.
Absolutely.
But getting the artists going is probably the most critical component. Obviously, without
Yes, it
them,
is.
you wouldn't have an art fair. And you're talking about a juried process, and that does take a lot of time, and it's serious business.
Yes, it is. It's very serious. Every artist here has been juried by a peer. And the jury process, there's about 10 jurors, and they meet in a room, and they grade the art, and then the process goes from there where the invitation is sent to the artist.
Well, for anybody who's not really been a part of a juried process, let's talk a little bit about how that happens, because it's an application process.
Yes, it is. It's an application.
And artists fill this out online.
They fill it out online along with pictures of whatever their medium is.
So it doesn't matter if it's pottery, it doesn't matter if it's paint,
No.
jewelry.
No. And they're not juried against each other. They're juried totally.
Okay.
And we have artists doing the jury work that are artists from all walks of art.
I mean, I'm just wondering how, something that I've made and created that feels real in art form, if I'm holding it and seeing it, can really be understood in a photograph.
It can, because it's being juried by fellow artists.
Okay.
So they're able to get the feel for it. And you're right, it's not their 100%, but because we do have artists doing the jury work, they are able to get the feel for the art. And it's amazing what the artists can do with their pictures.
And it's a grading process. What do you mean, A, B, C, D, or how does this work?
It's
here?
numeric.
Okay.
It's a numeric process. And it's all secret, top secret. Each juror does their own thing, and then they're all put together, and that's how we come up with the numbers.
So are they trading their ideas in this back room, sort of
No.
saying? So every person makes their own vote?
Yes, every person makes their own vote.
And then the numbers are added?
Yes.
And then what floats to the top is basically what appears
That's
here?
what's at the Edina Art Fair.
So then artists are invited to come, and they have a right to participate or not.
That's correct.
They can fit it in.
That's correct.
Okay. Most meaningful event you've had as part of that process? I mean, you're talking about people and their passion as well. Your passion is involved in this, and clearly you've had tons of things that have happened that have just really been rewarding for you.
Oh, just tons. These artists are absolutely wonderful. And to see an artist be so happy because they have done so well at the art fair, or they're so happy with their location, or they're simply happy it's not raining. It's
Something to be happy about.
just something to be happy about. they're wonderful people to work with.
What is a successful art fair to you as chair? What's successful?
That everybody does well at the art fair. Everybody has a good time. It's all about having some fun along with selling their art. And a lot of the artists that are here, this is their livelihood. This is what they do. They go from art fair to art fair all over the United States. So it's important for them to do well at this event.
Wonderful. Well, we really appreciate your time, your effort, and all of the volunteer effort that you put into this. Congratulations on a successful event, and we'll see you next year.
Okay, thank you.
Well, the Edina Art Fair has been around for 42 years, and there's an artist here that's been here for 30 of those years, making it new and different every time. Lee Ross joining us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Best of Show 2007, which means your work is pretty highly sought after.
Well, the judges thought so that year, but...
Now, you live in Duluth with
Well,
your
actually, we
husband?
live in Hovland, Minnesota, which is
Okay.
actually beyond Grand Marais up in the North Shore. We're only 16 miles from the Canadian border.
And you take that experience and you bring that into your art. You work with
Yes.
granite and you work with clay and other items as well.
Yes.
Talk a little bit
Yeah,
about
we work
that.
with some of the local stones up there. We'll harvest some of the basalt. It's it's one of the oldest stones in the world, and it's beautiful. It's this dark, kind of bronzy color when it's polished up, and we found a wall where it kind of calves off naturally into these beautiful shapes, and we'll work with it, and we'll also inlay some of our ceramic tiles into the basalt, and that's one of the unique things that we do with stone. We've been stone carving now for a shorter time than we've been working with clay, but with the stone carving we started off taking a stone carving class in Italy, and that's where we first learned to carve stone.
Well, it's amazing work, though. I mean, you're basically harvesting Mother Nature, and you're bringing that into art. And you
Yes.
take your experience from your studio up north,
Yes.
right here, and
Yes.
share it in the city of Edina.
Yes, yeah. We every morning we wake up. We're right on Lake Superior, and we wake up every morning, and there's the lake, and we sit there and discuss ideas. Toss ideas back and forth while we have our coffee, and then we head up through the woods up to our studio, and we'll be walking on the path where there'll be wolf tracks or bear tracks or moose tracks. You don't know who's gone through in the night, but it's always an exciting little journey up to our studio, which is up the hill. And then we're up in the studio working together, collaborating on different work, all day long, and then we wind our way back down our little path down to the
That
lake.
is the pure artist spirit coming through in your stone and your artwork and in your clay work. That's fantastic. And you've been coming here now for 30 years. This is your
Yes.
30th year.
Yes.
How do you make it new? And
Just-
is it new?
Oh, it is, definitely. Well, every day is different. Every day is a new day. You have different people coming through all the time, but we're always excited to try new things. So, like I said, we've done the clay, and now we've been moving into some more stone, and want to try doing some bronze. But there's always things to learn, and always new experiences that we're having.
How does this compare to other shows that you've participated in?
This is really a good show. I mean, it's a really great show. I grew up in St. Paul, and actually my mom started doing this show the first year that it was run. It was actually, at that time, it was a fundraiser for the library, for the Edina Library. And anyway, she's a potter, and she's still making pots at 91. So
Wow.
that's how I got started working with clay. I've been doing shows in the Twin Cities since I was 5 years old. And
When you let go of one of your pieces from your booth and it's gone, and you've put a ton of heart and soul and
Yeah.
passion and experience into that, what does that feel like?
Well, that's something I learned. That was one of the things my mom always talked about. She always said that you have to let things go in order to create something new. And so that's, it's just something that I grew up with. But there are some pieces that I wish I could have back, that I do. You do feel bad about letting them go.
A piece of you goes
Yes,
with you, and
it does,
circulated.
because you really do. And you put everything you got into what you're doing.
Thank you so much for
Yes.
joining us on In Edina. We really appreciate all the work you do. We look forward to seeing you next year.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Well, we mentioned that art is really for all ages, but there's clearly a piece here that is featured that everybody really seems to embrace, and that's the fairy houses. And joining us to talk about the fairy houses are the artists themselves, Frank and Belle Barr. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for
Really
having us.
appreciate it. Local artists here.
Yeah.
And fairy houses, an interesting story, because they didn't start as fairy houses. Tell us,
No.
Frank, how'd you get them started?
Well, they started as bird houses, and having a passion for smaller things, I downsized them, the architectural details and that sort of thing. But we didn't know that they were called fairy houses until we gave one to a friend of ours and their daughter. How old is she?
10.
10.
Yeah.
She said that they were called fairy houses, so we ran with that.
And so you're saying to yourselves, this birdhouse is now really a fairy house.
Yeah.
But you turned it into a fairy house with some special decorations. Talk
We
about
did.
that.
We did. Well, we were recognizing that not everybody would see the fairies, but they would be able to hear them when the little bell rang. So we put a little bell in there. And so now people use them as tools to, take the crabbiness out of people's lives.
And I love that idea
Yeah.
because there's some crabby people out there. You can
Yeah.
give them a fairy house and things will just change.
Yeah.
But what's really neat about that is that's kind of the message about art. It's tangible and it's also intangible. And
Yeah.
it can be spirit-filling that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
And so each house is different. What are they made out of?
The house itself is terracotta, a low-fire earthenware, and so they're low-fire glazes, which are pretty vibrant. The roofs are copper, and they're usually on a copper stem or sometimes a steel stem or steel brackets, which I cut with a torch.
And then you decorate them with what kind of pieces?
With all the pretties. I put all the,
Yeah.
the fancy stuff on it.
Do people
and the
make
colors.
requests on what they want?
Sometimes
or-
we get some, special requests, but it's usually it's kind of like painted, and then it's revealed who it belongs to
Okay,
afterwards.
so you give this away and then they decide.
Yeah.
Do they
yeah.
name the fairies too, or?
Yeah, and a lot of little people, they know, they're the experts in the fairies. They tell me a lot of good stuff.
And
They
so
can-
then you use that, of course, to
Yeah.
rejuvenate the art. What a wonderful
Yeah.
gift. This is
Yeah.
about your 10th year at the Edina Art Fair. Why is it so special for you, besides the fairy houses?
Yeah, well, it's so close to home, and we get to see all of our friends, and get lots of local supporters.
And you're,
And this art fair, it just seems like everybody is so excited to be here. It's like, the first big show of the season, and everybody is just so happy, and it's just fun to be here.
and obviously it's grown for you as artists because you started out with making a handful of fairy houses, and now you're making almost 1,000 houses a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's still fun. That's the cool thing. You
Well,
know?
that's what's wonderful, and we
Yeah.
really appreciate you bringing your fair, your art, and your fairies here to the Edina Art Fair. We look forward to it. Thanks for bringing it.
Happy to be here.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Well, to be good, you've got to look good, and the Edina Art Fair always looks good thanks to the leadership from Maintenance Supervisor Larry Dykeman. Thanks very much for joining us on In Edina.
You're very welcome. Glad
And
to be
nice
here.
work.
Well, thank you. Yes.
It takes a lot of work to maintain this event.
Yes.
You're the supervisor of this whole area, 50th in France, which means you do a lot of things, not just get
Correct.
ready for this fair, but talk a little bit about some of your work year-round.
Yes, I do obviously routine things, trash, and but I do a lot of sidewalk maintenance. I maintain the parking ramps, the stairwells. I do all the maintaining of the planting of the flowers, watering those throughout the summer. The trees, if they need to be trimmed, the bushes, just a lot of general maintenance for an area like this.
Snow plow in the winter,
Snow plowing in the winter, I take care of that, so I'm basically on call 24 hours a day for that.
parking lots, and parking
lots
ramps.
And the ramps, yes.
So shoppers are satisfied
That's
year-round
correct.
as well. But when
To make
this
it
event
safe.
comes around,
Yeah.
well, that's important. And to make an event like this clean and safe,
Sure.
it takes planning on your part.
Well, certainly you've got to look at safety hazards such as maybe potholes in the street, being vendors are set up on the streets, as well as the sidewalks. Pavers need to be replaced if that's a problem, So there's a lot of things that you look at in order to make it work for
And
this event.
All of this work for this event comes down to essentially a long weekend.
That's correct.
And for you, dirt comes in every day, in and out. So how do you plan for that? How do you make sure that that's ready to go?
Well, you get down here at 4:30 in the morning, and you usually are here till 10, 11 o'clock in the evening. So, you know, that's just the fact of life, and it's only 3 or 4 days out of the year, so I usually can handle that.
And you have some help for the weekend.
And yes, I do have 7 helpers throughout the art fair, and they do a very nice job, and they maintain the area, keep it looking nice for the art fair event here. And all in all, I think we can handle the job quite well.
With all the food and all the throwaways and things like that, with 70,000 people tramping through an entire weekend, you're moving a lot of trash too.
That's correct. We probably approximately, it could be anywhere from 14 to 16 tons of trash per day. And then each morning around 5 o'clock in the morning, Waste Management comes and empties all the dumpsters that we have around. So.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a lot of trash generated throughout here. So it kind of gives you an idea, too, the foot traffic that goes through here.
Yeah, and this is a rain or shine event.
Yes.
So when weather comes, are you washed out, or does it make the job that much tougher?
Not necessarily. It depends on, obviously, how hard it's raining. You know, a light rain, you've got people. Minnesotans are diehard. They don't mind this being out in the rain. And, you know, so a lot of the vendors open up. So, you know, we're pretty busy even in the rain, you know, unless it's a torrential downpour. So not even I will be out in that.
And when you wrap it up, some details you need to take care of that we don't know about?
No, you're just kind of bushed and
ready for a day off.
Yeah, the tear down, getting the vendors out of here. Then that's another big cleanup period right there, because they leave a lot of things behind, and I have to make sure all that stuff's off the street. And again, it's for safety reasons too, that people don't get injured or hurt over debris that's left here, and also for the site of the area down here. You know, we want it to look as nice as before they got here.
Well, thanks for making it look sharp this year and for many years to come. We appreciate it.
All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Well, if you didn't get a chance to walk through this year's Edina Art Fair, we hope you enjoyed our broadcast from 50th in France and have a chance to see everything next year. We'd like to thank our artists, businesses, and everyone for bringing this broadcast to you. I'm your host, Lillian McDonald. Thanks for watching in Edina. Until next time, have a great day.